Meet me. Welcome back, boys. So we're gonna have a quick guide video today. I didn't think this thing was that complicated, but it surprised me that so many people were asking me to do a guide on this because it seems fairly straightforward. But I figured let's do it because it seems like this is going to be a thing that's going to be happening on a semi-regular basis. So this time it's Artena's equipment crafting event. Last time I think it was like Super Maid Chloe or something. In the future it might be called something else, but they're all the same. So as always, my guide videos broken down into topics. So number one, we're just going to talk really quickly about what is the crafting event. Number two, we'll talk about what you should pick, and I think this is the topic that most questions revolve around. Number three, we'll quickly run over how this event works, or more specifically, how to actually craft the equipment. And number four, we're going to cover some quick tips and advice. So let's just get started right away. So topic number one, what is the crafting event? So to get to it, it'll say event here. You just go to the screen, go to Steel Workshop, click on crafting event. And basically what this is it gives you the ability to craft any kind of equipment you want, any set that you want, any main stat that you want, and to an extent any sub that you want, although that's largely based on RNG because it's random and you have to keep re-rolling. But essentially it means you can craft yourself the perfect piece of starting gear. Now keep in mind, this piece of gear can still end up being kind of, probably not ass, but like not godly, because you still can't control your rolls, right? And a lot of great gear is whether you get those high rolls or not. If you don't understand what that means, check out my old equipment guide. But basically, you could still end up with subpar gear. But at the very least, you'll start off with perfect or near perfect rolls. So this is a great way to give players a piece of gear, especially for players who are missing like one slot on their favorite hero. This is a really fantastic way to help fill that slot. So basically, that's what the crafting event is. It's just a periodic thing that happens that gives a player a guaranteed piece of equipment. Now let's move on to topic number two. What should you pick? And this is the thing that always trips people up, and I think this is what most people are concerned about. So I know a lot of other guides out there are kind of like wishy-washy about what you should do. I'm going to say, like, I'm going to assume a lot of you guys are PvP oriented. If you're PvE oriented, it's probably speed set. But for PvP oriented players, I'm going to say 95% of the time, immunity is your best bet. Now, why am I not saying speed? It's because at the end game, you're probably going to be doing like 10 or 20 times more Wyvern runs than any other set, because the vast majority of heroes in this game go on speed set. So typically you're going to have a lot more speed set gear to go around than immunity gear, because if you're not doing that much A13, you're going to be kind of limited on immunity gear, and immunity gear is kind of more annoying to get overall, right? Especially in PvP. If you're doing high-end PvP, you need to have like 30, 40 heroes built, and pretty much all of them need to be on immunity. You're always going to be short-handed on immunity sets, at least good immunity sets. Like a lot of people, to dip into their immunity sets, they start using kind of like badly rolled pieces of gear just to get that 2 set up. So I'm going to say the vast majority of the time, just get immunity. Speed is always okay if you really, really want to get speed. Again, like speeds run on everyone, but I'm saying to get the most bang for your buck, the highest likelihood of having a piece of gear that you're struggling to get, it's going to be immunity. Now, alternatively, counter and lifesteal, they're okay, but the thing is you have a much smaller pool of viable units that use these sets. So the thing is you don't get as much bang for the buck, right? So the only way I would say pick lifesteal or counter is if you have a unit that is on counter or life. So let's say like a Ravi or something, and you're missing exactly one slot, and that one slot has absolutely terrible gear and you want to fix it up, then fine. You can, do this to fix a one-off unit. But in general, the answer to this question is pick immunity set. So we're going to go ahead and pick that here. And at this point, the next question is, what piece of gear do I craft? It's always these three. Never ever craft these three with this event. Because if you do, the main stat is set and you're wasting it. Like, crafting these is a lot easier than crafting viable necklace, rings, or boots, because not only do you need the subs to be correct, you also need the main stat to be correct, which makes it exponentially harder to get good gear for these. As for which one you pick, it doesn't really matter. You can argue that these are more efficient because when you craft, amulets and rings take more crafting materials than boots. The counter argument to that would be amulets and rings typically have more viable main stats, whereas boots, 95% of the time, if it's not speed, it's garbage. Rarely, like, health or attack work on certain heroes, but typically it has to be speed for PvP anyway, for any set of boots. So you can't really go wrong with any of these three. But basically, that's my recommendation. Go immunity set unless you have a real need for some other set, and it should be speed, counter, lifesteal. I'd say avoid anything else. And then never craft anything except necklace, rings, or boots. And then if you pick neck, I would say go crit chance, crit damage, or health. If you pick ring, go health percent, percent for all these, or attack percent. And then for boots, always go speed. And the reason for that is, again, you always want to get the most efficient use out of your resources, maximize the number of heroes that can actually use this piece of gear. It'll work out the best for you in the long run. So I think that covers what you should pick, in my opinion. Now we're just going to cover how it works real quick. So I kind of just showed you the first part already. You select the set, and you could go back and change it if you really want to, although you'll have to pay for it again. And then you pick a piece of equipment, right? So I don't know. I don't really care right now. I have plenty of resources to use. So let's just say we pick ring, right? And I said for rings, you should go health percent or attack percent. So we're going to select attack percent. And at this point, you're going to get a piece of equipment. Now, don't worry if it sucks, because you can always change the substats. And let's say you get a different one that's better. You always get the chance to keep two, so you can lock it down, and it'll stay forever. So I picked this crappy 5% effectiveness one, click change again, and say, hey, wait, this one's better. It's all percentage subs now, no flats. We keep that, and then you can always just keep picking. So I'll keep this one for several rolls, right? And you don't have to worry about screwing it up that way, because if you get something good, you can lock it down. So as you can see, this is pretty straightforward and easy to use. So yeah, I think that's about it on how it actually works. Let's go to the final topic. I want this guide to be fairly quick. Tips and advice. Well, the number one main tip is don't accidentally confirm it, because if you do, there are no refunds. Smallgate's not going to do anything. You could put in a ticket, they'll ignore you. Do not confirm it by mistake, or you're going to lose out on your piece of gear or lock in something that sucks. That's the most important tip. The second most important tip that I see a lot of people ignoring is wait till the end of the event. I keep seeing people lock in gear that isn't ideal. Like, let's say this, they'll get like 6% crit damage, 3% crit chance, 3 speed, and like effect resistance, and they'll say, hey, that's pretty good, and they'll lock it in. Remember, keep very close attention to the duration here. You have until August to re-roll, and you're going to be farming throughout. Just go for the perfect piece of gear, guys. Like, there's no reason to lock it in early. You don't get anything for doing that. Just wait. Even chase that 1%, because on the last day, like I said, you don't lose the piece of gear that's good. So worst case scenario, you don't get any improvements, just lock it in later. But don't settle. Never settle in this event. It's your opportunity to get a perfect starting piece. Don't throw it away. There's no other way in the game to do this. This is absolutely the highest percentage chance to get a perfect piece of gear. So what are we at? Under 9 minutes, so we're going to wrap it up there. Hopefully this covered everything and explained a lot of the situations. I didn't want this guide to be too long for such a simple subject. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. And thanks for watching. Till next time, boys, peace out.